Okay, we're going to get started. On the record. Good evening and welcome everyone to this public comment hearing of the Energy Facilities Siting Board. To start, I want to explain that this is a hybrid public comment hearing conducted in person and on Zoom. Before we start with the substance of this hearing, I want to explain how we will use Zoom tonight to ensure that everyone can fully participate in this public comment hearing from the start. For those of you using Zoom to participate remotely, you will have a full opportunity to see and hear everything said during this hearing and to offer comments and ask questions. For those of you accessing the meeting by phone dial-in, you too can hear everything and have an opportunity to comment or ask questions. The instructions on how to participate were provided in the public comment hearing notice. For audio-only participation, attendees can dial in at 646-558-8656, which is not a toll-free number, and then enter the webinar ID 89666385-239. Whether you are here in person or on Zoom or dialing in, our hybrid setup for the hearing should allow you to see and hear everything said tonight. We ask that you speak slowly and clearly to provide the best possible record of today's hearing. We may ask you to slow down or speak more loudly to facilitate that goal. If I hold up my hand, please stop speaking, as we may need to address technical difficulties related to the use of the microphones either here or in person. We will be recording this hearing and it will be posted on the Siting Board's YouTube channel. That listing is provided in the notice of these public comment hearings. Links to see the transcript and the YouTube recording will be posted on the Plymouth Wareham project webpage on the Siting Board's website as listed in the notice for this hearing. I would like to welcome everyone to this hybrid public comment hearing in the Energy Facilities Siting Board docket EFSB 25-02. My name is Donna Sharkey. I am the presiding officer in this proceeding, and I am conducting the hybrid public comment hearing tonight. NStar Electric Company, doing business as Eversource Energy, who I will refer to as either Eversource or the company, has asked the Siting Board to grant individual and comprehensive zoning exemptions from the zoning ordinances of the towns of Plymouth and Wareham for the expansion of two existing Eversource substations. One, the West Pond substation located at 0 Federal Furnace Road in the town of Plymouth, and two, the Tremont substation located at 4 North Carver Road Extension in the town of Wareham. The expansion of each substation would involve enlarging the fenced yard area and replacing and adding transmission equipment. A description and a map of the sites appeared in the notice of hearing for this docket, which you may have seen in the newspaper or received in the mail. We have additional copies of the notice available for you here tonight at the table near the door when you came into the school. As you can see on the stage and on your screen, if you are participating remotely, there are other people with me from the Siting Board who will be involved in the review of this project. They are Andrew Green, Director of the Department's Siting Division, Joan Foster Evans, General Counsel of the Siting Division, Wayne Wong, who may be out by the table admitting people, Caleb Chang, a siting analyst, and Jonathan Mengesha, a program coordinator with the division. Please let us know if you are having any technical difficulties with Zoom. Call or text 857-200-0065 for assistance. Council and company representatives for Eversource are also participating in this public comment hearing. The notice related to this project is posted in a number of different places online with links to obtain additional information, including the Plymouth Wareham webpage as part of the list of Siting Board open dockets, the Siting Board's siting calendar, and the Eversource project website. The links and web addresses are listed in the notice. I will briefly describe the requests made by Eversource related to the proposed project and the legal standards that govern the Siting Board's project review. Next, I will allow the company to make a presentation regarding the project. After that presentation, I will open the floor to comments and questions from the members of the public who wish to offer comments tonight. Please note that we will also review any written comments submitted by the public. As I mentioned earlier, the project includes two components: the proposed expansion of the West Pond Substation located at 0 Federal Furnace Road in Plymouth, and 2, the Tremont Substation located at 4 North Carver Road Extension in Wareham. The company's request for zoning exemptions for the substations is filed pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 3. Under this statute, the Siting Board must determine whether the company is a public service corporation, whether the exemptions requested are required, and whether the present or proposed use of the land or structure is reasonably necessary for the convenience or welfare of the public. The proposed changes at each substation are as follows. At the West Pond Substation, the proposed expansion includes 1, expanding the fenced substation yard from approximately 0.8 acres to 2.5 acres to accommodate new equipment. 2, replacing 2 50 megavolt transformers with 3 75 megavolt transformers, each with passive secondary containment. 3, installing a 115 kilovolt 6-breaker ring bus. 4, replacing 1 23 kilovolt bus with a new metal clad double bus double breaker switch gear. 5, installing 2 new capacitor banks for a total of 3. Installing a 23 kilovolt circuit breaker and associated disconnects. 7, installing a new relay and control enclosure, approximately 58 feet long, 26 feet wide, and 14 feet tall. 8, installing new drainage structures as appropriate. And 9, installing approximately 1,400 feet of galvanized chain link mesh fence of similar height to the existing fence. For the Tremont Substation expansion in Wareham, the proposed expansion includes 1, expanding the fenced substation yard from approximately 1.8 acres to 2.1 acres to accommodate new equipment. 2, replacing 1 28 megavolt transformer and 1 22.4 megavolt transformer with 3 75 megavolt transformers, each with passive secondary containment. 3, replacing a 23 kilovolt bus with 2 metal clad switchgear enclosures. 4, installing 3 new capacitor banks. And 5, installing approximately 150 feet of galvanized chain link mesh fence of similar height to the existing fence. The substation expansions are components of a proposal that the company submitted to the Department of Public Utilities as part of an electric system planning program to allow the interconnection of distributed generation resources, such as solar and energy storage system projects in the Plymouth and Wareham area. In a separate docket, DPU 22-54, the department established a new framework for upgrades to the electric power system to support the development and interconnection of distributed generation projects. The program is designed to ensure the installation of system upgrades to provide a pathway for many solar and energy storage system projects currently in the interconnection queue in your area. The public comment hearings in this docket mark the beginning of a formal state-level decision-making process focused on whether to approve the project. There are multiple ways that you can participate in the Siting Board's review of the project. First, you may comment on the project at the public comment hearing tonight. You may also file written comments by Tuesday, August 19th, 2025, by email to me at my email address listed in the notice, and to the company's counsel, whose email address is also listed in the notice. In addition, you may choose to seek participation as an intervener or limited participant in the adjudicatory phase of the Siting Board's review of the project. The deadline for requesting participation as an intervener or a limited participant is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. We would encourage anyone who does seek to participate to review the material published on the Siting Board website, which outlines the different ways in which you can participate in our proceedings and the standards for requesting these types of participation. For example, you may participate as a full intervener. A full intervener has rights to ask discovery questions of the company, to present witnesses, to ask questions of witnesses testifying at hearings, to file briefs and motions, and to appeal the decision of the Siting Board. In the alternative, you may participate as a limited participant. A limited participant can receive filings made in this proceeding and may file briefs with the Siting Board. A limited participant does not have the right to appeal the Siting Board's final decision. The information on participation is also in the public comment hearing notice for this proceeding. If you would like a copy of the notice and intervention rules, please send your contact information to my email and I will send the information to you by email. Eversource's counsel and company representatives are participating in this public comment hearing. May I have appearances of counsel, please? Push the light.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Cuthan from the law firm of Keegan Werlin. I'm here on behalf of Eversource Energy and Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy. Also appearing on behalf of Eversource is Cheryl Blaine, also of the law firm of Keegan Werlin. Thank you.
Thank you. I would note the company has provided a certification that the notice for this public comment hearing has been provided consistent with the terms required by the Siting Board. Would the company like to begin with its presentation regarding the project? After that presentation, we will open the floor for comments and questions from the public.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Tremper, the project manager on behalf of Eversource. Thank you to the folks of the Siting Board and participants for your attendance this evening. Um, Is the clicker over there for the? So this is a presentation on the West Pond Substation Expansion Project, which is part of a larger distributed energy resources study that was completed in the Plymouth area. This project is one of a few also included within this project group is upgrades to Tremont and Wareham substations in Wareham, upgrades to line 132 transmission line in Plymouth, Kingston, and Plimpton, and upgrades of various distribution lines and feeders throughout the Plymouth and adjacent areas. As far as the scope of the project itself, Ms. Sharkey did a good job at summarizing the scope here. One thing I did want to add is related to the metal clad enclosed switch gear that will be taking the place of an existing open air bus that's at the station there, which we anticipate to be less visually impactful than what's currently present there. Other than that, there is actually, I believe that covers everything that was mentioned before. And as far as the why and why we're completing these projects to begin with, it's to maintain operability and reliability of the station, to enable the proposed DER projects as well as future applicants. In addition, it also facilitates future projected load growth in the area and helps the Commonwealth of Massachusetts meet its clean energy and decarbonization goals. Next, there'll be a couple of pictures which are represented in the petition. These are visual simulations that were done of the existing substation versus the future. This first one here is the comparison of the views from Federal Furnace Road, which runs adjacent to the station to the east. This picture specifically was taken from the northeast, looking southwest at the proposed station. So on the left is what is currently existing, and then the right is what that's proposed to look like in the future with the equipment as noted in the scope section. The next view we have is from the east-southeast, looking back towards the station. You can see the existing 3-pole transmission structure, which is present in the left, is being removed in facilitation of the substation expansion itself. You can see some of the equipment from this view, but not to as great of a degree as the view from Federal Furnace Road. And then the last visual simulation here is from Huntington Road, which is from the west-southwest, looking east-northeast, up an existing distribution right-of-way. The equipment that you can see from this location looking directly down the right-of-way is just the distribution switchgear enclosure, which, as mentioned, is taking the place of the existing open-air distribution bus. As far as the permitting that is planned for the project, we have the zoning exemption, which is the 40A as described by Ms. Sharkey. We also have the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System for stormwater. That's a federal permit that is expected to be filed in Q2 of 2026. And as far as kind of overall project schedule here, outreach for the project started in 2024, shortly followed by permitting. The current project schedule is hoping for permitting to be complete in the second quarter of 2026. And if we get the necessary zoning approvals, and plan is to begin construction in quarter two of 2026 as well. Due to the scope of the project, we do anticipate a roughly 24-month duration to construction, which puts the construction into the second quarter of 2028. And just to hit on a couple of items related to the project construction itself, the project, when necessary, will utilize a police detail and implement traffic management plans to access the site, maintain residential street access, maintain pedestrian and motorist safety. We don't anticipate many impacts to the Federal Furnace Road that this project is on, but if any were to be present, we will, as noted, secure police detail to make sure that traffic is maintained. In addition, Eversource is committed to working closely with neighbors and nearby businesses in the community. I know there's already been some door-to-door outreach, informational mailings, as well as a link to email updates, which will be present at the end of this presentation. We also have a project website that will post regular construction updates as well as we get into construction. And as far as the community outreach that's taken place here, the goal is to coordinate again with municipal officials, state and federal regulators, the neighboring property owners, businesses, community-based organizations. So we've already had some kind of proactive outreach for the projects, just to kind of give folks an idea of the projects and what they'll ultimately entail. There's also communication with the municipalities. We did meet with the town of Plymouth and have had some back and forth with the town of Wareham as well. And there is, as noted on the slide, a couple of channels for communication with the project. The website is linked here, as well as the project hotline and email. Anything that is sent into the project hotline or the email will be directed directly to this project team for review and response. Then the last slide is essentially a summary of the contact information, as well as a QR code for folks if they care to sign up for the project email updates that will be present during the project. With that, I'll turn it back to the siting board team, unless there's any immediate questions.
Thank you. Next, we will proceed with public comments regarding the project. We begin with federal, state, and local officials, appointed as well as elected officials who wish to be heard. Then we will proceed with members of the public who have signed up to speak in the order in which they have signed up. Finally, we will allow anyone who wishes to speak but did not have the chance to let us know in advance speak. When called upon to speak, if you are participating remotely, we will move you into the Zoom panel so that you can be seen and heard by the Zoom audience, as well as those here in the auditorium. For all speakers, please give your name and address, spell your name, and speak slowly and clearly. Please stop speaking if you see me raise my hand. If a company response to a comment or question asked is appropriate, I will ask the company to respond. This public comment hearing is being recorded through an official transcript by a court stenographer who is here tonight. In order to accurately transcribe everything spoken tonight, he needs to hear you clearly. So please be patient if we need to interrupt you to repeat yourself so that it can be included in the record. In addition to the transcript, we are recording today's public comment hearing and will post the recording on the Siting Board's YouTube channel. Anyone can review the recording at the YouTube link listed in the notice. So we will begin by taking comments from public officials. If there are any present tonight, please identify yourself, giving your name and office that you hold for the record. Do we have any federal officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand in person or on Zoom if you are present. Are there any state officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand in person or on Zoom. Are there any local officials present or on Zoom that wish to comment? Please raise your hand. Please come up to the podium, and if you can just give your name, spell your last name, and what your title is.
Good evening. My name is officially Francis, known as Frank Mand, M-A-N-D. I'm an elected member of the planning board in town. I'm also the West Plymouth Steering Committee's liaison from the planning board. And that gives you a little bit of sense of why I'm here tonight. And also because I'm here because I haven't been through one of these processes. I'm very aware of the expansion process, of these substations that happen every so often. I've seen the one in Carver with the load that comes at midnight across the highways, and covered that as a reporter. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a fun little background thing most people aren't familiar with. So I'm generally aware of what this process entails and why it's necessary and the benefits to the community. But also I am, in my regular life during the day, the vice president of the Southeastern Massachusetts Pine Barrens Alliance, a conservation group that has to do with this ecoregion that we are in, a globally rare ecoregion. So that also colors my interest and concerns. So first off, I have a little question of what I saw as the reference to zero federal furnace. Now, when I put in zero federal furnace, it does not come out on the location on my GPS. 140 federal furnace does come to that location. So I'm wondering about why it says zero, and is there some strange anomaly, or the fact that it's the strip of utility line that's considered zero? I don't understand why there's that disparity, or is it my mistake, my misapprehension?
Ms. Cuthan might be able to clarify that. I think we referred to zero Federal Furnace Road because that was the address listed in the application.
Right, and I'm wondering if that's correct.
Ms. Cuthan?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if anybody.
It could be a misapprehension on my part, but even tonight, I put it in my phone, where is zero? And it's farther down the line toward Plymouth Center, and 140, when you put that in, you see the existing substation on Federal Furnace. So in any case, that's a little fly in the ointment there, I think.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Could it have been a typo in the application?
We are checking into that right now, but we don't have a
Okay.
response immediately, but we could get back to you.
Okay, I'll just move on.
Thank you.
I think you've addressed in many ways what are the potential concerns, such as the screening or the changes in the landscape, the drainage is going to be added, and you showed the pictures of now and the proposed view, all of which is reassuring to a degree. But as a member, an elected member of the planning board, I think you understand that I am hesitant to buy into a waiver of all of our review process. I read the application, or whatever it's called, the notice, and how it says that, you know, in a large part, I think it favors the utility, gives them, it's a little hurdle to get over if you want to be an intervener, or if you want to have those kinds of hearings that would normally accompany a major construction project. So I'm hesitant to just agree to that. Well, let me say, though, I am not here representing the planning board. I'm here as a private citizen, but as you said, I'm identifying myself that I am a member. So I'm not speaking for the planning board, but it is something, my perspective, and I am a member. So I'd like to know more background, in a sense, too, on these kinds of projects and any issues that have arisen. I understand these are very well contained structures. They have that special that oil or whatever in each one of these. Are they transformers? Is that what they're called? And I'm not aware of any problems with them, but they are double encased because of concerns for that. And overall, my overall concerns for potential effects on the environment and on the community. And there, I also read, again, I'm not familiar with this process, so I'm really learning right here, right now in a way. But the opportunity for residents that live in the area or direct abutters to have their concerns addressed, I want to be sure myself that takes place, that they get every opportunity to do that. So I'm really looking to be reassured on that level, and I think the board would if they had the chance to do that. Again, I think that my overall concern is for the process, the hearing process, and whether that allows for proper and full participation of the community. Because in large part, I'm not sure, but I think there are very few people here from the community. And that's not your fault per se, but overall government needs to do a better job of getting the word out about these things, letting people know they can participate, and assuring them that they can have a voice in these things, whether at a planning board meeting or zoning board meeting or a meeting like this as well. So I'll just leave it at that and say thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Well, if you are thinking as a member of the planning board, that the planning board or perhaps the town would like to participate, you have a period of time to consider through August 19th to determine if you would like to participate more formally, which often happens in proceedings, that there's participation by the municipality.
Yeah.
Or
was
by
mentioned,
abutters.
it was mentioned in the presentation that there was some conversation with the town, but I make a distinction between staff at town, paid staff, hired staff, and elected members of the planning board. And I'm not, unless I look through the correspondence, I would have had no awareness of this whatsoever. So I would hope at the very least there's an effort to communicate on that level and see if the board itself feels necessary. And there's a lot of experienced people on the board, and maybe they know of this process and kind of just, say, we know what it involves and we don't need to be involved. At the same time, I've not been informed one way or another about that. So I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
So again, kind of the range, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Of options goes from, providing written comments, which, or to full participation as an intervener.
And it looks complicated, but is there a simple distilled way you can explain how you become an intervener?
Sure. Basically, you have to file a petition with the siting board, talking about your interest in the project and what issues, you would like to see explored in the proceeding, and whether that nature of that interest is as an arm of the municipality or as a private citizen due to proximity to the project site, things like that.
Mhm.
The process we go through is probably a little more formal maybe than a lot of planning boards or,
Right.
or other boards at a local level go through. If we go through a period of discovery where people issue questions, we automatically do. Anyone who is granted intervenor status can issue questions that are just written questions that the company has to respond to in writing. That's kind of forms the development of a record relating to the case. We then usually proceed to evidentiary hearings where we, further develop issues that may have been raised during discovery or in people's review of the original application that was filed. As an intervener, you can ask questions relating to anything that was contained in the filings that have been made in the record of the case. At the end of the evidentiary hearings, there's a period in which people who have participated, both as limited participants who may not have been who don't have the opportunity to ask discovery or ask questions during the adjudicatory process, but do have the right to file briefs, as well as the company would file briefs. And then that kind of forms the basis of the record on which we make a decision with regard to the company's petition.
Now, the only thing I'm not clear about is if there is no intervener, if there is no questioning of the process, the waivers happen because of the petition you submitted for those waivers. So there's no process that is going to happen unless somebody insists on that happening.
Well, we have our own independent responsibility to investigate the filings that are presented to us to determine what the issues are that we think needs to be examined and what requirements might be placed on the company if we were to grant their petition. So the process does go forward using the steps I talked about with the siting board and siting board staff, even if there isn't participation and from, abutters or other parties in the case. We do, however, base our discovery and questions during the proceeding on comments we receive in part from the public comment hearing. And that's why it's kind of an important part of the information gathering for us to issue a decision, is to hear what people in the immediate area have to say with regard to the company's petition and what concerns they might have about operations of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other public officials? Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak? If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand in order to allow us to move you to a panel to receive your comments. In that case, we have no further comments that people are seeking to offer tonight. Oh, please come up. Although, aren't you a?
Did you want me to respond to the question?
If you have an answer now,
I do have an answer,
appreciate
yes.
that.
My name's Patrick Fitzgerald. I'm the engineering manager for the tri-state area for EverSource. The deeded property is actually 0 Federal Furnace Parkway. There's 4 parcels that are owned by EverSource. They're all deeded at 0 Federal Furnace Parkway. The physical address is approximately 140 Federal Furnace Parkway, though. So that is correct in our filing. You're welcome.
Thank you. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone here tonight for participating. I'd like to remind you the comments and requests for participation are due Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. We welcome your input and questions. The information is important in our review of the proposed project. If you have any questions relating to tonight's hearing or want a clarification of the Siting Board's review of this case or anything else related to this hearing, please email me at my email address in the notice. I'd like to thank everyone for their participation and for their comments and questions that you have offered regarding Eversource's proposed Plymouth Wareham Substations Expansion Project. Thank you. Off the record.